Have you noticed how the gun world in 2025 feels like it has shifted gears overnight at SHOT Show this year? You couldn't walk 10 feet without hearing someone argue about why they were ditching their old carry piece or competition setup for the latest release. And it's not just hype. From law enforcement officers swapping duty pistols to competitive shooters trimming seconds off their runs with new gear to everyday folks, finally finding a micro-compact that doesn't punish them at the range, there's a genuine wave of switching going on. As someone who's been around this scene for years, I've seen plenty of so-called innovations come and go. But this crop of 2025 firearms is different. These designs solve real problems shooters have been complaining about for a long time. So let's break down the 7 guns that are making people switch right now, and whether you should consider them too. When it comes to concealed carry, the shelves are full of micro-compacts that all start to blur together. For years, folks defaulted to the Glock 43 or the Smith & Wesson Shield, and they worked well enough if you were willing to live with limited capacity and a grip that felt like holding onto a bar of soap after a shower. Then along came the HK CC9 in 2025, and shooters started paying real attention. This pistol is slim, less than an inch wide, yet it manages to pack 10 to 12 rounds in the mag without feeling like you're cramming a brick into your waistband. HK built it in the US for the US market, and it shows. The slide is cut for optics, the controls are fully ambidextrous, and the stippling on the grip finally gives you traction without feeling like you're clutching a cheese grater. I've heard stories from shooters who deliberately dragged their CC9 through dust and mud, then ran +P ammo through it without a single failure. One guy told me he switched over from his longtime carry shield after just one range trip, said he couldn't believe a gun this small shot this flat. That's the magic here, concealability that doesn't punish you when it's time to practice. If you're still carrying a single-stack micro from the last decade, the CC9 is the modern upgrade you'll actually feel. It's reliable, comfortable, and ready for the red dot world we live in. For everyday carry, this little German-American hybrid is hard to beat. The Ruger RXM is what happens when an American workhorse brand decides to play in Glock's backyard and then adds its own twist. At first glance, you might think it's just another polymer 9mm, but look closer and you'll see why so many shooters are switching over in 2025. First, it's modular. Ruger built a fire control insert system that lets you swap frames, slides, and calibers without needing an entirely new pistol. That's the kind of flexibility usually reserved for pricier European guns. Second, it plays nice with the aftermarket. If you've got a drawer full of Glock Gen 3 parts, the RXM is happy to use them. That alone has competition shooters and tinkerers grinning. At the range, the RXM feels smoother than you'd expect from a $700 pistol. One competitive shooter I spoke to said he switched over after running just a few stages, his split times dropped, accuracy tightened, and he didn't feel like he was shooting a budget gun at all. The adjustable trigger and extended mags give it the speed edge in matches, while the optics-ready slide means you can mount whatever dot you fancy without extra plates or gunsmithing. From my perspective, Ruger finally nailed a pistol that doesn't just appeal to new gun owners, but keeps veterans interested. It's reliable, adaptable, and priced, so that you don't need to sell a kidney to upgrade. If you're tired of guns that lock you into one setup or one roll, the RXM is the everyman's pistol with pro-level features. It's proof that switching doesn't always mean spending more, it just means spending smarter. The 1911 has been around for more than a century. It's like the Harley-Davidson of pistols, iconic, timeless, and sometimes a little stubborn about change. For decades, shooters swore by the single-stack 45 ACP version, 7 or 8 rounds of sweet trigger, and a whole lot of tradition. But in 2025, the double-stack 9mm 1911 is where the real action is, and shooters are switching faster than you can say mag change. Why capacity? A classic single-stack leaves you reloading like a barista topping off espresso shots, but the new double-stack models give you 17, 18, even 20 rounds in the same footprint. Take something like the Alchemy Quantico High Cap, or the newer Staccato-inspired builds. They're cut for red dots. They come with undercut trigger guards that let you choke up on the grip, and many even offer compensated barrels that keep the muzzle flat. Suddenly, you're not just holding history, you're holding a gun that runs with the best modern race pistols. I spoke to an older shooter at a match who had carried a single-stack 1911 for 30 years. He told me, "I finally gave up the reload every 12 seconds lifestyle." After switching to a double-stack 9mm, he admitted he shot cleaner stages simply because he wasn't fumbling mags so often. That's the kind of real-world difference we're talking about. From my own perspective, this shift isn't just about round count. It's about ergonomics meeting practicality. The slim 1911 grip angle remains one of the most natural in the business, but now you don't sacrifice firepower. Accuracy remains. Legendary sub-dash 1.5-inch groups at 25 yards are standard. If you've ever loved the feel of a 1911 but hated the constant reloads, the modern double stack is the answer. It's the best of both worlds, heritage and innovation blended into a pistol that proves an old dog can absolutely learn new tricks. If the double-stack 1911 is making a comeback, the Staccato P4 is carrying the banner at the front of the parade. Staccato built its name in competition with buttery triggers and accuracy that could embarrass pistols twice the price. But the P4 isn't just another gamer's toy, it's built for duty as well. And that's why more shooters, including law enforcement officers, are switching in 2025. Here's what sets it apart. The P4 accepts Glock magazines, which immediately makes life easier for cops and shooters who already own half a dozen lying around. The grip texture has been re-engineered aggressive enough to lock in your hands during rapid fire, but not so sharp it feels like sandpaper on bare skin. Most importantly, the safety system is truly drop-safe, addressing a long-standing complaint about older 2011-style pistols. I know one officer who made the switch after years carrying a Glock 17 on duty. He told me the difference was night and day. The P4's trigger reset was shorter, his shot groups tightened immediately, and he felt more confident qualifying under stress. That's no small statement when your livelihood depends on your sidearm. From my own time on the range, the P4 balances like a dream. The recoil impulse is smooth, the slide cycles cleanly, and the gun feels like it was engineered by people who actually listen to shooters. It bridges the gap between a competition race gun and a rugged service pistol, which explains why it's being adopted, not just in matches, but in holsters worn every day on patrol. If you're looking for a pistol that doesn't force you to choose between precision and reliability, the Staccato P4 might be the sweet spot. It's not the cheapest option out there, but shooters aren't switching to this one because it's cheap. They're switching because it's simply better. Let's be honest, the original Savage stance was not exactly the talk of the town. Most shooters looked at it the way you look at that cousin who shows up late to the barbecue with an empty cooler, technically there but not bringing much to the table. Fast forward to 2025, and Savage clearly decided they'd had enough of the jokes. Enter the Stance XR, and suddenly people are paying attention. The XR addresses all the complaints. Barrel length is increased, giving you better sight radius and improved recoil control. The grip frame is reshaped. The magazines now hold 13+1 instead of a meager single-stack capacity, and yes, it comes ready to mount a red dot. Even the iron sights got a facelift with brighter, easier-to-acquire options. Throw in a Picatinny rail for a light or laser, and this little pistol finally feels like it belongs in the modern concealed carry conversation. One shooter I met had carried a Smith & Wesson Shield for nearly a decade. After trying the XR, he told me it was the first compact gun that felt stable in his hands under low light conditions with a weapon light attached. He switched over after just one range session. That kind of word of mouth is exactly how underdogs earn redemption. In my own testing, the Stance XR was comfortable to run and surprisingly accurate for a gun this size. Savage took a platform that was easy to ignore and rebuilt it into something worth considering for everyday defense. If you wrote off Savage in the past, the XR was their comeback story. It's proof that even the overlooked can rise to the challenge, and shooters are switching because this time Savage finally got it right. Every year at SHOT Show, there's one booth that looks like a Black Friday sale at Best Buy. In 2025, that was Canik's. People swarmed the Mete MC9 Prime like it was free ammo, and for good reason. This pistol is living proof that you don't need to drop $1,000 to get features that make serious shooters switch. The MC9 Prime comes in under $500, but it feels like it belongs in the big leagues. We're talking a compensated barrel that noticeably flattens recoil lightning cuts in the slide for faster cycling, a grip texture that actually works with sweaty hands. And here's the kicker. It ships with a micro red dot already installed. You walk out of the store ready to run an optic, no plates, no gunsmithing, no excuses. Add a 17+1 capacity, and you've got a compact carry pistol that punches way above its weight. I heard from one guy who had been carrying a much pricier pistol from a big-name brand. He admitted almost sheepishly that he sold it after a month with the MC9 Prime. Why? Because the Canik shot flatter, was just as reliable, and didn't make him nervous about scratching a $1,000 gun during daily carry. That's the kind of real-world switching that tells you this isn't hype, it's value. From my perspective, Canik has become the king of democratizing performance. They give everyday shooters the same kind of recoil control and optic-ready functionality that used to be locked behind premium price tags. And they've proven their guns hold up thousands of rounds. Later, the MC9 Prime is still running. If you want a gun that delivers modern features without torching your bank account, the Mete MC9 Prime is exactly why shooters are making the jump in 2025. Affordable doesn't mean boring anymore, it means smart. Some pistols whisper when they shoot, and others bark louder than a junkyard dog. The Springfield Echelon 4.5F Comp doesn't whisper or bark, it growls with authority while somehow keeping your hand steady. That's the magic of a built-in compensator done right. And it's why more shooters are making the switch to this platform in 2025. Springfield had already impressed the market with the original Echelon, but the comp model pushes it into new territory. The integrated compensator vents gases upward, cutting down on muzzle rise and making rapid follow-up shots far easier. Pair that with a 4.5-inch barrel tritium night sights for low-light shooting and a slide that's cut for just about every optic under the sun, and you've got a pistol that's both practical and downright fun to run. One shooter I know had dealt with wrist pain for years. Running long practice sessions left him sore and frustrated. He picked up the Echelon Comp and said it was the first time he could run 300 rounds in an afternoon without feeling beat up. That's the kind of feedback that goes beyond hype. That's someone who genuinely changed their training life with this gun. The 15+1 capacity keeps it competitive with the other modern service pistols, but it's the controllability that makes it shine. On the range, it feels like a full-size pistol that behaves more like a tuned race gun. For home defense, the ability to control recoil under stress could make the difference between a clean string of hits and wild shots off target. If you've ever hesitated to run a compensated pistol because of added weight bulk or aftermarket headaches, the Echelon 4.5F Comp eliminates those concerns. It's factory-built, ready to roll, and represents the best of Springfield's design work. Shooters are switching because it makes practical sense, and if recoil has ever held you back, you should definitely consider this one. That is the snapshot of a gun market in motion in 2025, grounded in real performance and user outcomes rather than brochure sparkle. If any segment caught your eye, take a rental run, a zero-try-a-bill drill, then compare your timer and target. Tell me what surprised you, what you would keep, and what you would ditch. Want deep dives with round counts, parts, and maintenance tips? In the next video, comment below, hit subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs a nudge. Thanks for watching, stay safe and train, and I will see you soon.